Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Y and E podcast. Thank you for joining us. And if you haven't subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. So the Yoruba Union, they've come out and they're asking the, all Nigerians, especially people of Yoruba descent, to come out and vote against the current president, President Tinubu, in 2027. And they've accused the Tinubu government of worsening insecurity situation all around the country. They've accused his government of deepening economic hardship and refusing to acknowledge the suffering of ordinary citizens. And many people can also attest to that. And that can also be, seen with the recent issues with the meeting the president had with the Catholic bishops of Nigeria and the committee of bishops came out and they expressed their feelings about the struggle of Nigerians, and they felt like the president was arguing with them, and the president believes the country is on the right trajectory, the country is doing good, the economy is better, and his policies are good, and that's why people will vote for him in 2027. But this Yoruba Union group, they've come out and they're saying no, that everyone can see the suffering of the Nigerian people. And if the president is not seeing the problem, can we hold his people accountable? Can we hold the chief of staff, the people that are supposed to be his advisors, the people that are supposed to be his ministers, his ears and eyes around the country? Can people hold them accountable? Because if the president is not seeing all these issues, then there's a breakdown in communication somewhere. Maybe his advisors are not telling him the truth, or the ministers are not truly showing him the conditions of the people of the country. And it is sad. And the president should also go back to the drawing board, and he shouldn't see everything from the point of view of politics. Yeah, when he was an opposition member, he was dishing out different things, but now it is done, and people are dishing it out to him. And he thinks everything is politics. He thinks everything is from the opposition, even though the people are screaming and yelling and telling him, "Hey, we need a change. We need the economy to be better. We need food prices to come down." They still believe their policies are good for the people, and the people vote for them. But I think the president needs to go back down and sit with himself and his trusted advisors and truly ask them, press them, what's really going on there. Also, you can't expect the president to be everywhere at the same time. Everybody knows insecurity is a problem. Everybody knows that economy is not good, majorly because of the price of gas, the price of petroleum products, and people are not happy. Unless the president doesn't want to win in 2027, or he doesn't believe the vote of the people, or maybe he has an alternative plan to get him back in the office. Maybe that's why he's doing what he's doing. But if he truly wants the vote of the people, then he needs to listen to the people. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't. For me, I don't. It looks like Tinubu is not even banking on the vote of the people that will vote for him. From what I can see, it does look like he's banking on the votes that will be allocated to him, just like the way they did in Rivers State. They allocated votes to him, so maybe that is what he's banking on. So he has all the major things that is required for the election, except for the major things that is required to win the election, except for the people. He has the judiciary under his control. He has the INEC chairman with him. He has the police, the armed forces, and that's all he needs to win. And then it looks like at the end of the day, the outcome of the election or the winner of the election will be decided by the judiciary. And then they do have the judiciary. They've been busy building portal for them. So they've been lobbying ahead of time. So and they packed the court with with their cronies, even in the INEC, like the state returning officers and stuff like that. Is being their boys, and then the people that are close to his ministers and all of those people. Those are the things that probably he thinks he needs to win the election. Definitely not the people. Because if he were the people, he would have been talking to them differently. He would have been, showing more empathy because he don't need them. So there is no point. He can just open his mouth and talk the way he likes. But for those group, that are saying that Nigerians and then everybody else should vote against Tinubu, I would really like to know what their bona fide is, who are they? What is their political leaning? Are they sympathetic towards it? When they fund PDP, which is now ADC, are they sympathetic towards NDC? What is their concern? Where are they coming from? Are they saying it because Tinubu haven't really performed truly, or are they saying this from the lens of, partisan politics? Until I know all of that stuff, I will not take them seriously because there are a whole lot of groups coming out to issue statements and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, they don't disclose their bias. They don't say, "Hey, I'm sympathetic towards this political party. I'm speaking because somebody has put a few thousand naira, a few in a couple of hundred, thousands of millions of naira in my pocket to speak on their behalf." It's really difficult, to see somebody that is purely neutral, speak and then maintain a position without a bias. So a lot of these people, they have a bias and then they don't disclose it. That is the problem. Tinubu hasn't really performed. I always say he does look like a good politician. Not that he does. He's probably the best politician out of Africa in the last 20 years. But I think he's quite old. He didn't come on time. Maybe it would have made a difference. He's old. He's getting tired. He can't even help it. Maybe 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, Baba is already gone to bed. He will leave governance, for his boys, for Bajabi Amala to be, to be government. And the irony is that those people, they don't tell him the truth. I was listening to a podcast today. It was an interview with a Chude, and Chude was basically saying that, I think he was trying to say in 2015, he was working with a certain government, federal government in power, and they lodged him in a Transcorp hotel in Abuja. So what he essentially was trying to say is that that hotel is too luxurious to feel the suffering of the people from from that hotel. So if you are staying in that hotel, it is very, very difficult to see who is suffering on the street. So basically what he was trying to say is that even as luxurious as that hotel is, the Aso Rock is way better. And he was trying to make a case that he now sees the reason why it is difficult for the president to see the suffering of the common people. That once you walk into that Aso Rock, everything is done for you up until your shoes are shined for you. Somebody will shine your shoe for you. In fact, it will remain small for somebody to put on your shoe for you. So it's difficult to see the suffering of the people, and plus the psychophants that will surround you. And it's difficult for you to see somebody that will truly tell you the truth. Everybody will be scared of you to the point that they don't want to, they feel like telling you the truth will piss you off and will really, the favor they get from you, they will no longer get it. So everybody will pretend to like you and everybody will lie to you and everybody will be telling you what you want to hear. I think that is the position Tinubu has found himself. And I don't think it's exclusive to him. I think the same thing happened to Jonathan. And I think the same thing will happen to the next president that will come in because Nigerian presidents are naturally too powerful that nobody wants to get in their, on their wrong side. So everybody tries to pretend and lie to them, try to feed their ego to tell them that they are doing well, meanwhile they are not doing well. And I strongly believe that that is what is happening to Tinubu. And whether he's a good person is another story for another day. But that is
Yes,
exactly
I
what I
definitely
think is
agree with
happening to.
you that yeah, that's what's happening. Again, I still believe that President Tinubu should not have become the president. He shouldn't have ran for office in the first place. Number one, due to his age. Number two, is a political strategist. It's more of a strategist than a president, right? His governing skills is not really there. He hasn't really shown that he can govern and truly make some tough decisions to make the lives of the people better. The toughest decision he's made so far was to remove subsidy, and we see how that ended up. People are still suffering for that till today. So he should have nominated all the people. People like the former vice president Osinbajo should have represented him or represented the South. But I guess he wanted his name in the issue books and he's gonna get it. And with everything that comes with your name being in the issue books, a lot of people are gonna remember him for it. You're gonna remember him for not being honest about his degree from Chicago State University. They're gonna remember him for obviously subsidy removal. They're going to remember him for no primary school education, no secondary school education, but was able to get into a college in the US. They're going to remember him for the lies about the companies he said he worked for, which he didn't, allegedly. They're gonna remember him for a whole bunch of things, being the man of the people, the man that helps people. So with the good and the bad, it comes with the position of power, it comes with the position of authority. So the president just needs to start listening to the people. If the advisors are not giving him good advice, maybe the president needs to go on the street and hear from the people. The people are not happy with what's going on. That is why groups like Yoruba Union have come out and said Nigeria is bleeding and they're running Nigeria as a banana republic. So we don't know when this is going to change. And it's just unfortunate that he may get to be the next president for the next 4 years, which is going to be tough. He hasn't really helped out in the case of the insecurity. He hasn't done a lot, even though we've seen some things that they said they put in place. However, people are still afraid of going out of their homes, which should never be so. People are still afraid of going into their farms to produce crops for the community to consume, to produce crops for the country to consume. But if farmers are not able to go to the farm, you're going to start importing foods. Things are expensive, dollars rising every day. And it's just sad that there's no light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. Yeah. So even if Tinubu and get rid of all the people that are around him now that are telling him the things he wants to hear, naturally he will surround himself with another group of people that will be telling him what he wants to hear. And I've been saying this. This is probably going to be maybe the 10th time that I will say that I really do not see the path to victory for the opposition. They could, they may be banking on the people's vote, but I think there will be a lot of voter suppression. There will be a lot of um, voter suppression. There will be a lot of voter apathy. People will not be motivated to come out to vote because they will conclude that the last time that their vote did not count and it truly did not count. And then there will be weaponization of the security forces, the armed forces like the military, the police, all the security outfits. They will unleash them to the street, and then in the strongholds of the opposition, like let's say the southeast, they will make sure that they frustrate the people, or maybe INEC doesn't arrive on time. In the north, where they know that Atiku has a very strong chance of winning, they will ensure that they frustrate, that INEC frustrate them instead of them showing up at 8 o'clock in the morning, hypothetically. INEC will end up showing up around the noon or a few minutes for the poll to close. And then when APC did the primary, I think this state, there was no primary, but they called result. There was a result, but there was no primary. There was no primary election, but there was a result. So we could, in 2027 general election, will probably definitely be things like that, where in the polling unit there was no election did not hold, but you will see results come out from that polling unit that did not have election. So like I said, I really do not see the pathway to victory for the opposition. I have said it again before. If I were Peter Obi, I would just save my energy, save my money, and not worry about contesting this election because, like Festus Keyamo said, the Minister of Aviation, it would look like a coronation. If I were Nigerian government, I would definitely not waste money for this election. I would just let Tinubu to continue because with Tinubu on the driver's seat, I don't see who can rescue this power out of his hand. He wasn't in power in 2023 and he won. And now he's in the driver's seat. You think he's not going to win? I don't see how the opposition will win. Honestly, I'm ready to debate that. I'm ready for anybody to explain that to me, but I don't see the path to victory for the opposition. But this is just my 2 cents, and I'll be wrong, and I would really love to be proved wrong. So let us know what you think. Do you think there is a pathway to victory for opposition? The other Yoruba group that is saying that they should vote against Tinubu, do you think they really have a legitimate concern, or it was they're just being biased and they have interest in other candidates? So let us know what you think. I will be happy to engage with you in the comment section.